let's talk cinemagraphs. What are they? They're popping up like the plague, they're everywhere on Instagram feeds, and essentially they're basically just a still with a bit of motion in it. For example, a cup of coffee with some steam rising out of it. Mine's gone cold. You won't get that anymore. But when I told the bloody producer that they're basically just overglorified GIFs, he said, "Ah, young Padawan, you have much to learn." So today he's gone and set us a challenge to film as many cinemagraphs as possible to find out the differences between a cinematic cinemagraph and a bog standard GIF.
Hi, Tian.
Hey.
Hello.
I can't talk to you right now. I can't move.
Me, Luke.
I'm doing the mannequin. Hey, buddy. Please get out of my shot.
Modelling for me are Louisa and her BFF.
Yeah, so I had a look at your Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's just basically every picture is of you and Luke.
I know, I'm running out of ideas, so I guess Cinemagraph would be, would be an option.
To film a cinemagraph, you only need two things: a tripod and something that shoots video. Even a phone will do. In my case, I'm using a Panasonic GH5.
So rude, look, what is it? Luke? Why are you doing that? Oh my god.
It's like we're making a cinemagraph of me cleaning around Louisa while she's sitting perfectly still. But we're not making a cinemagraph. I'm actually just on my hands and knees cleaning for her while she plays with Luke. God.
You know he knows a lot of tricks.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What does he know?
I'll show you.
What can he do?
He's quite amazing.
Does he know how to clean the floor?
No.
Because that's a good trick to learn.
Sit. Sit. Both hands. Bang! Down. Bang! You have to pretend you're dead. Bang! Okay, good boy. Get out. Spin. Spin. Yeah, okay. He's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's not bad. I wouldn't make that into a cinemagraph. So I made this into a cinemagraph.
And I'm not going to go into too much detail because this isn't a tutorial, but I looked through my video for motion that can be looped, which I then masked out. And then I chose a still frame to use for my cinemagraph. After that, it was just a lot of tweaking until I got the motion looking natural. This was actually a very easy cinemagraph, but if I wanted more motion, like Louisa shaking Luke's paws, I'd use more layers. One thing you should be wary of is having motion that's stacked on top of each other, like Louisa's hair and arm, for example. You're going to get clipping no matter what you do.
Something you see quite often in bad cinemagraphs is motion that's been isolated when it shouldn't have. So for example, if you're holding a cup of coffee and everything is still except the coffee is shaking, that's just wrong. I mean, what kind of witchcraft is that? It's the problem I have here in this cinemagraph because Luke's ears and tongue are moving, but the rest of his body, his face, are still.
Lukey, sit.
That's good.
Come on, sit. Come here. Come here. Come here. Why are you so stubborn? Come.
Ideally, you want a model who can sit still.
I'm tired of your shit. You won't walk me properly, you walk too slow, you take too many takes, and the stupid cinemagraph is just a GIF.
After we'd settled Luke down, we got this, which I think is pretty good. Both of our subjects are in a resting pose, which looks more natural. There are actually quite a few pockets of motion in this cinemagraph. I wonder if you can spot all 5. The thing is, not all cinemagraphs are born equal. Yes, you can shoot them on your iPhone, and there's even a $200 app for that. But the better your video quality, lighting and environment, the better your cinemagraph. Treat it as a proper photo shoot. I'm shooting in 4K, but pros even use 8K cinema cameras.
Alright, so we've changed location. We're now indoors in a tea house, which is as Chinese as it gets. But more importantly, when we were outside, there were just way too many variables, things I couldn't control. And I feel like with Cinemagraphy? Cinemagraphy? I don't know how it's pronounced. You almost want it to be a studio shoot. You want to be able to control everything, and everything that's in the shot should be there for a reason. Any kind of motion in the shot should be there, and it should be controlled. So hopefully this is going to work better for us. Basically for this shot,
Yeah.
I want you to be pouring tea into this cup, and nothing else is going to move. So try and limit your motion if possible. You can lift it up, and then when you pour, just keep it steady. And then the only things that are going to be moving is tea from the teapot and that little bit of wispy smoke. So it's going to look pretty cool.
Much better. We've got a beautiful setting, a beautiful model, and if I wanted to improve it even more, I'd slap a LUT on it.
However, one problem is the arm motion. Looks a bit unnatural, looks like it's looped. That's why this version is much better, because it looks natural. You look at it and nothing seems out of place, and you're almost waiting for what's going to happen next. Yeah, this is great. This is fantastic. I love it. Let me just do a horizontal one as well. Honestly, it is fantastic to be able to do these, because I'm still shooting a photograph in my mind, but thinking about where there's little bits of motion. So it really is a fantastic excuse to shoot in portrait. You just can't get away with that for video. Really exercises your creative juices. Good cinemagraphs will often have quite a lot of motion, but you have to hunt for them. Kind of like in one of those spot the difference games. And when you do find it, you're like, yay, 1 point for me. And it's just that here you can only get a maximum of 2 points.
The more pockets of motion, the better.
Fire and smoke, or in this case steam, always work really well in cinemagraphs. But you do have to have a nice clean background. It wouldn't work if you had something else that's moving in the background. For example, if Louisa was pouring tea behind this steam. However, there are ways to improve the cinematograph too. I could have shot it at a higher frame rate, like 120 FPS. Would have been able to get smoother blinking out of her eyes, but I mean, it's just depends on how much work you really want to put into the cinematograph. I noticed that all good cinemagraphs have one thing in common, and that's subtlety. It's like the difference between an artful nude and softcore porn. You know, the motion should hint at something more. It should almost be like a tease, as opposed to full-on, in-your-face action. It should come almost as a reward for paying attention to the cinematograph, kind of like finding an Easter egg. And what I've come to realize now is that a cinematograph is like taking a 2D picture and breathing life into it, whereas a GIF is taking something 3D, like a video, and then compressing it, slamming it down into 2D, and making it a tacky souvenir, like you know, those coins from those penny press machines. There are some incredibly beautiful and inspirational cinemagraphs out there, and if you want to check out the best examples, I recommend looking up Kevin Berg and Jemmy Beck, because after all, they're the inventors of the art form.
You did it.
I did it. It's subconscious. I can't stop.
I'm just gonna mute you when you do that. Mute. I would not want to go on a date with a guy that did that. I'm sorry.
I know, it's a bit nasty, but still, it gets the most amount of flavour out of good tea. When you slurp, the tea continuously makes contact with your tongue, and it excites your taste buds underneath. Imagine having tonsillitis, and then these two glands, I think these two glands are usually swollen, right? So it feels like you've got hot potatoes now, or it feels like you've got something here. And then drinking tea and enjoying the full body of the tea is like washing away the tonsillitis.
Okay, that's
It's like you're trying to wash the tonsils. Sounds
Can you
really...
do it in a more sophisticated way, though? Can you go?
Obviously I can't. See, that's why I've never had tonsillitis.